So here we have our pattern pieces that we will draft out from, and I decided to film it this way because it's easier to fit it into frame and than having me lay it all out on my table and set up my tripod and everything. So for the joggers that I'm going to make, I'm actually going to skip this zippered pocket detail here. So if you're doing the zipper pocket, then some of the steps that you'll see in this video will vary. But so I'm just going to show you this, and I'm going to skip this piece, and we're just going to construct out just regular pockets from this front pattern piece. I also made a capri version, and I used these dots here as my point of reference for where I cut my pattern across and just hemmed it. So I also didn't need the cuffs either. I'm doing option number 7 with the drawstring waistband. So this is the pattern piece I used here. The one difference that I made is I extended this instead of 8 centimeters, I did it 9 centimeters, which I'll talk about more when it comes time to do the waistband. So let's just dive into how I did the pieces. So here would be our traced out front pattern piece and our traced out back pattern piece. The back is simple, no markings needed on it. On the front, I have the line here where the zipper would be if there's a zipper. I have the line for the front pleat, and I have that line that was at the bottom of the pattern for where the bottom of our pocket will be. So now I will show you how we dive into the front piece to get all the information that we need from this. So the first thing we need to do is get the actual front pant piece, which I have colored here in yellow. So we're going to use all of this and just cut off along the zipper line, and this is your front pattern piece. Keep in line, pardon me, make sure you mark your pleat for this pattern piece here. Then we have the pocket lining. This is the part of pocket you won't see. That'll fold on the inside to finish off the edge of the pocket here. And so for that, I went along the pleat mark, along that bottom marking of the pattern, and up the hip and across the zipper here. And then finally, the visible part of the pocket. This is the only part here that you will see of this pocket piece to create a full pant thing, because there's no fabric here. And down the pleat line and across the bottom of the short line. So for each of these 3 pieces, you will add seam allowance to all of them, same as your back pattern piece, same as the drawstring and the waistband and cuffs if you're doing the waistband. And for these, you're going to cut 2 of each piece mirrored. And for mine, I ended up rounding off this corner here just to create a more finished, easier to use for my serger. I'm done with the pleat and I've top stitched it, and I have folded it away from the pocket bag going towards the crotch so it doesn't get in the way. Now I'm putting my inner pocket piece right sides together with the pant leg, and I did roughly round the corner, and I'll round it better under my serger, but just so I don't have a pointed corner. So I'm going to now stitch along here and turn it so that it's underneath. All right, so I've stitched it on and pressed it over to the wrong side of the joggers. Optionally, you can top stitch along here. I'm just going to leave mine plain. Now I'm going to take my other pocket piece and place it right sides together towards that pocket piece, and moving it away from the joggers, unless you want your stitching to be visible on the front of your pants. I'm going to stitch all around these edges together. So when it's all finished from the front side, it will look like that to make up the full front of your pants with your pocket. All right, so I switched to my serger and sewed the edges of the pockets together and gave that a press. And optionally now I could baste along the side seam here and along the waistband at the top here. so that all those layers stay together and the pocket bag stays flat while I'm constructing the rest. So now I've taken the back leg that has the crotch curve along here and pinned it right sides together with the front piece. So the crotch curve is also along there. So right sides together, all the way down here and all the way down here. And I'm going to stitch both of that and do the same to the other pant leg. Alright, so I have stitched the backs to the fronts on both legs. And as you can tell, this one is right sides facing out and this one is inside out. Now we are going to stick this leg inside this leg. So right sides are facing and pin along the crotch seams. So I've placed the other leg inside the other one and they are right sides facing, and I have lined up the front crotch and the back crotch and down in the inner leg seam. So now I've cut my waistband and I've done a couple things. I've marked with chalk the center, front, and then because I am either going to do buttonholes or grommets for the drawstring, I haven't decided yet, I've ironed on, knit interfacing to where those are going to be. And then I also pressed it wrong sides facing along the top, so I have a nice crease along the top for when I'm finished. So I've gone ahead and installed, or sewn in, why do I keep saying installed, sewn in my buttonholes. And then I've decided to add a 1.5 inch elastic waistband, just because I wanted to have just more than just a knit waistband. So I am doing number 7. This one's number 7 with the drawstring, and they wanted an 8 centimeter tall waistband plus your seam allowance. But I did an extra 1 centimeter so I can install it the way I like to, plus the seam allowance. So it was 9 plus my seam allowance. So I measured my elastic around my waist for how I want it to be, and I overlapped the edges and stitched them down. And then I've actually gone ahead and just placed it with inside my waistband so I don't have to feed the elastic through after, and that's why I added the extra centimeter, so that I have seam allowance plus some wiggle room with the elastic when I'm sewing it so I don't accidentally serge over the elastic. So now I'm going to go ahead and pin my waistband onto my pants, making sure that the drawstring is at the front, right sides together and centered, and pin all the way around and stitch it. So I went ahead and attached the waistband, and then I did some stitching for where the drawstring was going to go. So I just measured for how far I wanted it so it was evenly spaced, and just stretch the elastic a bit as you stitch. And then I'll put in my drawstring and hem the bottoms, and so now I will take some photos of them on, and that's it.